I'm gonna take this. I should know how to do this. I used to do sound for several centers before I started ministry. First, let me just begin by just saying how honored I am to be here in this beautiful space with you all today. Yesterday, I came by the center. I just kind of drove by and it's like I parked and I sat out on the front stoop. Because what I wanted to do, what Spirit guided me to do, was to tap within the wisdom that is already here within this space, to tap within the wisdom that is on this land, to tap into the wisdom of the founders of this beautiful community and what they wanted to bring. And in this space, I asked Spirit, I said, what is it that I am to bring for today? Because I can sit and I'll write a talk and the talk title starts working me even before I start working, writing the title out. It's like I can imagine with music, you get music stuff and it's like, where is this coming from? But that's the thing. It's like when we tap into the wisdom of spirit, when we tap into the wisdom of that we are wanting to do with music, with life, it's like tap into that because there's wisdom in everything. Even when we are in our cars, and sometimes we may not know, we know exactly what our destination may be, but somewhere along the line, Spirit may give us something that says, go left here. And sometimes we listen and sometimes we don't. I can account for that for myself, that I have to listen in and say, well, why am I going this way? Why am I going left? But there is wisdom in that space because what I know is that there is something greater than I am that knows exactly what's taking place even before I step out of my door. So I listen and making that left turn. Then I come to find out that the freeway was all backed up and that this was a shortcut to get to my other destination. So that's the thing with wisdom, is wisdom when we're tapping into that special place. It's not, we have our knowledge. We go to school, we learn, we have that knowledge that no one can take that away from us. But the thing that no one can really take away from us is that wisdom of God that is within us. When we tap into that inner wisdom and we ask the question, sometimes it's, what is it that I'm to know in this moment? What is it that I'm to do in this moment? How may I serve in this moment? Because we know how we may have served last year may not work the same way this year. There's different things that's happening in our world right now. One of the things that I start thinking about is in regards to that wisdom, that inner wisdom. And I know people are in an uproar with the upcoming elections and so many things that's going on. But if we pay attention, there's wisdom even in the candidates, the parties, everything that's happening, even the topics that are coming up. And what I can invite us to do is if there's something that irritates you, gets under your skin, tap into the wisdom of what that is, be it a certain law, a certain topic, a certain person. Tap into the wisdom, ask Spirit to reveal to you what is it that you need to know about this particular person, situation, and see what comes to you. Listen to that spirit. Listen to that inner wisdom because it knows it's never going to lead you astray. Sometimes it may seem weird. It may say, well, go work on the campaign. And it's like, I don't know anything about that. I'm saying this is just now coming to me right now. Like, no, that's not for me right now, but that was what I'm speaking. But the thing is, like, spirit gives us these little nuggets, and it's up to us in order to evolve, to listen to them. We can choose, we have choice. You can choose to listen to it or not. But sometimes what I've learned is that when that little tapping happens, it might go away for a little while, but then next thing you know, comes back a little bit louder and you don't pay attention. It's like wisdom is knocking at the door. It's like, are you listening? I was like, okay, I'm listening. I don't like to do the 2x4. Sometimes it happens when I really don't pay attention. Because what I know is that when I listen to the wisdom of God in the beginning, I don't have to deal with that 2x4. So as I move into this place of just trusting, I meant to take my timer off my tablet. As I was preparing for this talk, I like to use acronyms. And one of the acronyms, I was driving, and one of the acronyms that came to me was wisdom. And it said, what Spirit gave me is that when I seek, doors open more. And I have my phone. So it's like, so I can record. So I'm like driving and I'm like pulling up the record. It's like, let me remember what I just said on this. Because it's about seeking. It's about seeking that inner wisdom. And when we tap into that inner wisdom, more opportunities become available to us, more than we can ever imagine. And so I'm like, oh, I like that one. That's like, I have to keep that one, but it's a reminder for me. It's not just words. It has to be a reminder that when there are issues that come up, go within. Sometimes, even before we speak a word, if there's something that may be an irritating issue or anger that may come up, before we speak, tap within, tap the wisdom within and ask, what am I to say in this situation? Because it's easy to go with the human aspect to say, well, you're yelling at me, I'm going to yell back at you. Well, what about if they're yelling at you? Spirit says, just love them up. And you're like, really? No. But I've done that. I've actually, I'll listen to a person and they're ranting and raving going on. And in my mind, as I'm listening to them, but I'm still saying, I love you. I love you. I love you. And what I realize is that somewhere along the line, there is a softening that happens. And I'm like, oh, I need to try that more often, especially when I'm driving on the freeways around here. I'm thinking, it's like, where's the wisdom with me driving? And it's like, and watching these people as they're zipping in and out of traffic and everything that's happening. But in that place of wisdom, when we have that wisdom, there's patience. Yeah, the P word. Uh-huh. And I realized that's something that Spirit has been working with me on for a very long time. And in that place of being patient with myself, there is an opening because things happen in divine timing. I may want things to happen like yesterday. Come on now, this has to happen. I need this right now. Come on. And Spirit is like, not yet. And I'm like, okay, come tomorrow. Now can I have it? Come on. No, not yet. But then I realized it's like in my impatience, I'm not seeking what is it that I'm to do while I'm waiting. What is it that I'm to look into? What is it that I'm to do? Because there's information. I may be guided to go to the library or something. I never know why. I haven't been to the library since I've been back here. And I just moved back about 11. I mean, I've been gone for 11 years from here, and I just returned in May. And even that was a process because I knew I was living in Savannah, Georgia, and in that process, I moved from Savannah, Georgia to Texas for about 3 years, and then I moved back to Georgia for work. And even that process in me moving, I'm thinking I'm moving, just staying in Houston. I'm going to move across the country. I mean, not across the country, but across the street or into another city. So I'm hearing Spirit saying, pack, start packing. So I'm packing my stuff up, but you know how you pack up things that you know that you're only going across the street or, to the next, city or something? Yeah, that wasn't the case with me. In this place, I'm like, all right, Spirit, where am I going? Because I started looking at places and everything was just not happening. Like, Spirit, okay, I'm being patient here, but can you give me some help here? And it's still that thing of just be patient, tap within, tap into the wisdom of the home that you want, where you want to be. My the company that I work with, I was able to travel from Georgia to Texas with the company. And they went through a downsize and closed divisions and stuff. And Spirit had me to go onto the company website to look to see what jobs were available. And so I looked on there. I'm like, why am I? It's like, okay, I'm thinking I'm staying in Houston for another 2 years. No. In there were two positions for Georgia. One area I knew very well, and the other area, it was new for me. And I was like, oh, I think I'll apply for this one over here that I don't know. So I submitted the application, and Spirit came back and said, you need to apply for Savannah also. I'm like, really? It's like, okay, I wanted something new, but there's wisdom in this. So I applied for it, and a couple of days later, they called me for the interview. And about a week later, they decided, it's like, okay, we're going to go with you. Although we have some other people that we're looking at, but they hired me. And I'm like, okay. So my process of me moving across the city became, oh no, now I need to unpack all of these boxes now to redo them so that I can move from Texas to Georgia. Really, Spirit, we're doing this. Okay. But there's wisdom in this process because even in the letting go and redoing of items that I had, I was grateful for my time in Texas, but Georgia brought me back for something more that I could not have imagined. I love the water. That's one of the reasons why I moved to Georgia because I miss California so much. But in that process, it gave me an opportunity to be in leadership position. It gave me an opportunity to see and work with people and to help mold them and to support them in their times of need. To be that minister, although they didn't know that I was a minister. I never told any of them that I was a minister, but I got to minister to them in my job. And it wasn't like you need to go read the Bible, you need to do this, but it was as I listened to them, Spirit gave me what to say to them. That was my community. That was my community of people that I worked with. And I had two areas. I had an area in Savannah and I had another area that was 2 hours away. So I had to travel between the two. In my travel was my meditation time. When I didn't get a chance to meditate in the morning, as I'm driving, I can meditate. Tapping into the wisdom, it's like, all right, Spirit, I'm heading to this store. I'm heading to meet with these people. What is it that I need to know? And I would get information. And I would, again, have my phone and just record. Thank God, they make these phones with recorders on it that you can record. And it allowed me to be able to, when I arrived at the situation, if there was an issue, that I was able to diffuse that situation even before say when I walked in the door, because it gave me an opportunity to be in prayer. It gave me an opportunity to set an intention for what I wanted to experience when I walked in there. And when I walked in, regardless of what I may have thought of the store manager or anything, it's like, I had words going through my mind about this person. And I was like, okay, let me clear that up. Let me, that's not my God way. But it's like, how do I show up in my best way? And so what I wanted him to see was what God had for me. Spirit had me and guided me to say certain things to him. And it shifted the situation immediately. Something that became, they were very irate with something that one of my reps was doing, to how do I dissolve this? How do I make this better? How do I talk to my person, but also make sure that the store is getting what they needed? That's tapping into the wisdom. That's, tapping into that inner wisdom. And when I think about with community, community could be anything. It could be your spiritual community, your family community, your work community. It's all community. It's like your friends that you hang out with. We all have issues with people. There's conflict that happens. That's life. That's our humanness. We deal with conflict. Are we willing to continue to keep the conflict going, or are we willing to do something different? It's a choice. It's easy sometimes to keep that conflict going, but then as you're keeping that conflict going, what is that doing to your inner body? What is that doing to your nerves, to your cells, to your spirit being? How are you showing up in the world? If you're in conflict with someone, then that energy, it goes out into the world. So you're going to continue to keep seeing conflict. You can be in that space for a while, for however long you choose to be in there, or you can make a decision to say, you know what? I don't need to be in this space anymore. This is not working for me. This does not serve me. How do I, within me, make a shift that shifts my outer world? Because this is what we're seeing. We're seeing the space of, as I shift, as the saying goes, what you look, it's like when you change, what you look at changes. If you're looking through the eyes of love, and sometimes we may not be in that place that we want to be loving to a person, but it's not about being loving to that person. It's about being loving to yourself. It's about being that greater, what is spirit, that greater beingness that gets to show up as this light. As you have people that come to your center, how do you greet them? How do you love them up? When I walked in this morning, it's like the energy in here was just so amazing and so loving. And I'm just so grateful to walk into this. And then the music, and you can feel that energy here. One of the things that I always do is set the intention of wherever I go, that I'm bringing that light. I'm bringing that love with me. Even if I may not, something may have happened before I left home or something. It's like,
in the Christian
my thought process. Let me change how I want to show up.
I'm just listening. I don't have to watch it.
And even as we're hearing conversations in the background right now, it's like, we just give thanks for the person that's speaking. Yes, because that is that opportunity of just having the wisdom. It's like, oh, she heard something. She's speaking.
We should
Thank you for your wisdom.
You can't very good.
And it's those things, because sometimes with some people, something like that could annoy somebody. And it's like, and then when it annoys someone, it shifts the whole dynamic. But then it's like, are you in your space of wisdom? Are you tapping into that wisdom? In that wisdom, it's about being in the flow with God, being in the flow with spirit, God, source, spirit, however you want to name it. It doesn't care how you name it, just that you interact with it if you choose to. How are you flowing with that divine within you? Are you flowing with it? It's like, yeah, it's like I'm listening. It's like I'm listening to what I'm being guided to do. It's like I'm following the path. I'm doing what it is that I need to do. Or are you in this place of when things start going good and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, we got this now. It's like, I got this, God. Thank you. Let me go move on to my own thing. And then something else, a hiccup happens. And it's like, oh, what did I do? How did I change that? Where I got out of the flow. And that's the thing. It's when we
That's the sound. Yeah.
something that
Yeah.
seems scary as I don't know what. It may not seem like an easy process, but what it is that when you are in the flow and when you're trusting spirit, I can guarantee you that spirit will not forsake you, that it will guide you to the right and perfect thing that you are to do. We may not think that it's perfect. We may look at it like, you want me to go work for this company? Really? Have you seen the reviews on this company? Have you seen what they do? You're needed there for whatever reason. And sometimes it may take a while before you get hired into this company, but Spirit keeps saying, try it again, try it again. Because somewhere in our minds, like, they're never going to hire me. And of course, you go to interview, they don't hire you. See, I told you they weren't going to hire. Go again. All right. When there's a shift, when we're in the flow with spirit and tapping into that wisdom, there's a shift that happens within us. And in that shift, doors open that we could never imagine, because we never know. It's like that same person that you may have interviewed with, you may see them in a grocery store somewhere and may start up a conversation like, oh, I remember you, you interviewed me. And they may say, well, yeah, the person we hired, they didn't work out. So, you know, you want to interview for the position again? We never know how things work out. What we do know is that when we trust spirit, the how is not up to us. The what is. That we are desiring, that is ours. The how is not, because we do not have the capacity to even know all that spirit has in store for us. We think we know. We think we know what we did last week is going to be the same thing that works this week. It may look like the same situation, it may look like the same conversation, but somewhere the energetic shifted, maybe in that person, maybe in you, maybe in the environment. We may try to do the same thing and to say the same thing. We'll say, well, last week I told them, it's like, well, yeah, I'll get to that next week. And it's like, and, I'll make sure that it's handled, and I'll make sure that, that everything is perfect. And something comes along and it's like, and it blows it out of proportion. Well, this week we come back and we may say, well, yeah, I tried to do it last week, but this happened. Well, let me try the same thing that I tried last week, to try to fix this situation. And it doesn't work. But when we tap into whatever the project is, whatever the thing is that we're trying to fix, even if it's something as simple as it's fixing something on the car. For those that are mechanics and know how to fix cars or anything, it may be something simple. I've had to go in and make some adjustments or something on my dashboard in my car. I had no clue of what it was, and I was not going through the manual to go look for it. So I'm looking at this, and I'm like, I know that somebody knows exactly how to fix this situation to make it easier for me. All right, Spirit, what are we doing? Show me what it is that I need to know. Go to Google, type in how to repair, and there's a video that shows up. That's like, that was easy. Man, that was easy. Because if it was me, I would have been trying to sit there through let me go online, let me look and see, well, how do you repair when your radio station is not changing channels or something, and like it's supposed to, and oh, that's what I needed to do. Professor Google had it right there for me. Even something as simple as I was trying to change, I'm staying at a friend's house and I was trying to connect the remote controls in the garage. Well, somehow in my wise thinking, I looked at what was on in YouTube, and say, do this, push this button and do this. And I did that. Well, when I pushed the button up there, it reprogrammed all of the remotes, and it did not program the remote that I had in my hand. I'm like, I followed the instructions, and I'm like, okay, Spirit. So a week went by. I said, nope, I'm going to leave this alone. I told my roommate, because she was like, so did you changed, did you set the remote controls? Well, what had happened was I set it, but I think it reprogrammed, she said, because I can't get into the garage. I'm like, okay. And by this time I'm heading out of town. So there's nothing I can do about this now. I said, okay, I'll come back. So we tried it again. I tried it again. I was like, maybe if I got a ladder this time, and rather than trying to like stand on my tippy toes and hold it up there to fix it. And so Spirit's like, just get the ladder. I'm like, okay, that's easy, but okay. I went and got the ladder. I went back on YouTube again. Very simple. Got the remote, pushed the button in there, pushed the clicker thing, and the light flickered. It was set. I was like, well, let me try it just to make sure. So I pushed the button, the garage opened, and it closed. Yes. What I tried before was not working, but I had to tap within, let go of my anger, resistance, whatever it was, my frustration, let that go. It's like, all right, Spirit, guide me. What is it that I'm to do? And so in that place, it allowed me to be able to truly go within. And sometimes it's the simple things that I think about. It's like, man, that was very easy. Why don't I apply that to every area of my life? It's that easy if we try to, it's like an attempt to do that. I'm like, and that's my goal. It's like, oh yeah, I can apply this to every area. Do I do it all the time? No. Because in my humanness, I realize I get impatient. And being impatient, it becomes frustrating sometimes because things are not happening as quickly as I want them to. But then what it reminds me is that I'm not in the flow with Spirit. I'm out of flow with what Spirit is guiding me to do. Because sometimes what I hear Spirit guiding me to do, I think, I don't have the skills to do that. I don't, who do I know that's doing this? But what I know is that whatever it is that we're called to do, we have the skills to do it. If we trust ourselves, if we trust that within us, we have the skills to be able to do that Spirit is calling us to do. As we build communities, as we move into our families' dynamics and shift things in our family, changing family patterns and family history, we have the abilities to be able to do that if we choose to listen and tap within. There is wisdom in everything. There's wisdom when people go out and touch the trees and connect with the trees. There's wisdom in the trees that tell you what is needed, that tells you, oh my gosh, I just needed to be hugged. I needed to be loved. Plants. I'm not a green person, not a green thumb person, but what I know is that even when I go to water plants, I speak to them, I sing to them because there's wisdom in plants. There's wisdom in each person that we connect with. If I were to look at you and just tap into you, Kathy, and just say, I don't even have to say anything because what I know is that the spirit within me connects with the spirit within you. And whatever information is needed, it will get revealed to me. That's one of the things when I was doing my hypnotherapy work before. I always try to do it from a spiritual perspective because I tap into what is it that I need to know about this person? What is it that they're not telling me? I don't need for them to tell me, but what is it that I need to know in order to be able to do a healing with them? It's the same thing with prayer. It's like what I know is that when we're praying for others, we're praying for ourselves. So sometimes it's like, what do I need to have prayer for myself? Because when I pray for me or have someone to pray for me, that I'm praying for them. There's wisdom in everything that we do. And this talk, as I'm, you know, again, as I was preparing for this, that's what Spirit kept giving me. Everywhere that I went, I kept seeing wisdom, wisdom, wisdom. And it reminded me, seek. It's like, seek me first. Seek the God within you first. That's where that wisdom is. Don't try to figure it out on your own. You have a helper. Go within and tap within that helper. So I think my time is almost coming to a close, but I just wanted to be able to bring this word. I always tell people, it's like, I'm having a conversation. This is a conversation with me. I'm just inviting you all in for for the conversation that I'm having. But what I know is that what works for one works for all. That as I am moving through my own space, tapping into my own inner wisdom, I know that the same is happening for each one of you. However, it is that spirit is guiding you to tap into your wisdom. This is your time. Listen. Sometimes in your nighttime, there's a dream that may come up. Pay attention. Listen. You may be driving down the road and there may be a song that may come to you. Listen. You may be guided to make a phone call to a person. Listen. That's the wisdom of God that's telling you this person needs to hear your voice right now. Whatever it is that spirit is calling you to do, listen. Sometimes it's like I always tell people, it's like I joke around when spirit says, well, this is what I want you to do. It's like, go send out a message to some of the centers and, see if they need speakers. I'm like, really? That's what say, okay. And then I go back and say, all right, I know this is for my highest and best. Okay. And it happens. And it's like, even when I went to ministerial school, I was denying that for the longest time. It's like, nope, not happening. And one of my friends, Reverend Martha Quintana, she was in New Mexico when I was there for hypnotherapy school in that area. She was the first one to ask me, when are you going to ministerial school? And I looked around like, who was she talking to? Because she's not talking to me. And I was a practitioner. But I realized 2 years later, I called her up and I said, guess what? And she just started laughing and I couldn't even tell her what it was, but she knew what it was. And I'm like, okay, spirit. So that's what I said. It takes time sometimes. We can run, but you can't hide from when spirit is calling you. So I am just in this moment, I'm just going to wrap this up and then I'm going to go into prayer. And just in this place of just absolute gratitude for this moment and this opportunity to remember the wisdom of God that resides within us, that this is that time. This is that time for us to just breathe into that space of the yes. Breathe into that opportunity of, as God is calling us, knees knocking, that we get to listen to that inner wisdom. We get to be in the flow of spirit, doing its perfect work in us as we get to do that perfect work out in the world. That we step into that calling that we're being called to do. I am so grateful for this time that we have on this planet in this right now moment. The goodness that is being created for us to step into, the opportunities that we get to listen to and allow spirit to guide us into doing, no matter where it is, of how we're to serve, how we're to build communities in our spiritual base, with our family base, with our friends, with our coworkers, that we have that opportunity to say yes to spirit, that we trust the process of what is unfolding right here and right now. When we tap within that wisdom that resides within us to that great creator, because it created us and it knows us better than we know ourselves. How amazingly blessed we are that we get to see the manifestation of that we've been called to do. That there are miracles upon miracles that unfold for us in ways that we could never even imagine, because we continue to be in the flow of trusting spirit to do its perfect work in us, through us, right here and right now. I'm so grateful for this time that we have come here together in this configuration. This will never be the same again. blessing each and every person that's here in this room, because I feel the energy that is moving through you, that Spirit is calling you into something greater. Just say yes. Even if there's fear, say yes. To those of you that are online, that are hearing my voice, that may see the recording of this is that opportunity to say yes. Say yes to health, yes to love, yes to financial abundance, whatever it is that you're calling forth, say yes. Ask Spirit within you, how am I to be in the flow with what I'm being called to do, what I'm requesting as my manifestation? How am I to be in the flow with that? What is the wisdom of that I am asking for? And allow Spirit to give you the information. I'm grateful for this opportunity that I get to speak this word out into the universe, knowing that as I am speaking this word out, knowing that Spirit is already doing this amazing work in the world, in the universe, making it happen for each and every one of you. For those prayers that have been put in the prayer box that have been spoken this morning, Spirit is already doing this amazing work because you said yes, and you're tapping into the inner wisdom to even ask for the prayer. I am so grateful for this time that we have come here together, that we get to bond together as this spiritual community right here and right now, knowing that as we are, God is, and all truly is well. So I just give thanks for this time that we have had together, giving thanks knowing that everything is truly unfolded in perfect and divine order right here, right now. We set the intention. Spirit is already doing this work. Follow the instructions of what Spirit is giving you and see the beauty of that is unfolding. And in this awareness, I know that it is already done. And I just anchor this prayer with, and so it is, Ashe, Amen, and so it is.